Manchester City could salvage their season by winning some silverware. The FA Cup is up for grabs and Pep Guardiola has got some massive decisions to make with what starting 11 he's going to go with against Plymouth Argyle. I don't know why I did the old pirate accent, I just went with it. I mean, it does kind of work with the R a little bit. They do have a bow on their badge actually, but so do we, to be fair, so do we. But I mean, no one's pirates. No one's pirates. Two football sides playing against one another in the FA Cup. That's what's going to happen. Let's remind ourselves of the fixtures because I think we got a little bit, arguably no disrespect to Plymouth, we got a little bit lucky with this draw because if you look at the fixtures that are remaining in the 5th round of the FA Cup, there's a lot of Premier League sides going up against each other and Manchester City drew a relegation side, well, they're in the relegation zone, fighting for their lives, 3 points from safety, Plymouth, in the Championship. And yeah, lots of Premier League versus Premier League fixtures going on, and I'm pleased with that because we just wanted to be at home regardless, and we got at home against a Championship side that have already knocked out 2 Premier League sides, let's not forget that. So even though you're looking at these fixtures thinking, yeah, that should be the easiest of all the fixtures there, they've already knocked out Liverpool. They did do it at home, Plymouth. But then you're thinking, well, hang on, they knocked out Brentford at the G-Tech Community Stadium. So they're capable of going away to these big grounds. And Miran Muslic, their new Bosnian manager, has definitely turned things round for Plymouth after Wayne Rooney, mate. I mean, Jesus Christ. Wayne Rooney left them in the shit. They've conceded 68 goals so far this season, which majority of those were under Wayne Rooney's guidance, let's call it. In fact, the whole Fergie era, Fergie versus Pep, you look at all the long list. Question for you guys, get in the comments below and give me a manager that is currently managing, or at least has managed in the game, that once upon a time managed under Alex Ferguson. I'm thinking Mark Hughes is probably the biggest name that's had some sort of success with Manchester City. I mean, hardly success, but I mean, you know, he got to a reasonable level. Look at Wayne Rooney. I mean, Gary Neville was fantastic, wasn't it? What was it? 7 games at Valencia, 7 losses, 659 goals conceded or something like that. Something along those lines. Bloody brilliant from Gary Neville, that was. Who else you got? You got Michael Carrick fighting with Middlesbrough down there. Ruud van Nistelrooy quite comfortably getting Leicester relegated. You know, whereas you look at Pep, you're thinking Mikel Arteta, yeah, Arsenal fans want him out, but I mean, he's manager of a top football club, as is Enzo Maresca, also manager of a top football club, fighting for Champions League football, fighting for big things in the game. You've got Vincent Kompany fighting for big things in the game, you know. People who seem to be get coached by Pep seem to go on and succeed in life, whereas if you, once upon a time, were playing under Alex Ferguson, your managerial skills, they're not transferable. It doesn't seem that way, does it? Doesn't seem to work that way. So, interesting. Get in the comments below and name me a manager that I've missed from Fergie that was managed by him and is considered a success in the game. I want to hear them. But we've got a tough game. Even though it's Plymouth, we've got a tough game. But just a quick reminder of those fixtures you can see. It's tonight is Villa versus Cardiff. I want Preston or Burnley. If we get through against Plymouth, let's not get carried away. We've got to do our job first before we can start thinking about the quarterfinals. But if we do get there, I think every Premier League side will want to face either Preston or Burnley. A bit of Burnley, a bit of a northern derby going on there. Then you got a southern derby going on there with Crystal Palace and Millwall. It's going to probably kick off. It's probably going to kick off down there with Millwall rocking up. Bournemouth Wolves, all Premier League. City Plymouth. Newcastle Brighton, all Premier League. Man United Fulham. I mean, good game. That should be good. Fulham, mate. I mean, United should be worried about that one. They should be worried. Forest and Ipswich, again, all Premier League, and that's on Monday night. So, yeah, here we go. We've got to be the favourites in this. And, I mean, can we salvage our season? But Pep Guardiola's got to get it right. Most importantly, he's got to get it right against a Plymouth side that are doing not too well in the Championship in terms of on paper, but in recent form, they've won 3 out of their last 6 games, drawing the other 2 and losing 1 in the previous 6 games. So Miran Muslic has definitely turned a little bit of a corner after Wayne Rooney left them in the shit. Injuries for Manchester City to be concerned about. Rodri's the obvious candidate. He's always been there pretty much since the start of the season. Akanji and Stones have recently joined the medical room and arguably could be out for the rest of the season themselves. And Bob, who just does not seem to be able to recover, even though he was pictured in training, about a month ago now, and it's very slow and steady for recovery for Oscar Bob, but I cannot wait for him to return. Question marks over what Pep Guardiola is going to do for me. The problems that Manchester City have had at the back is the lack of consistency that we've had. So I think we're going to continue down that same vein of thinking, to be honest, with making some changes at the back that we could probably get away with all due respect, because it's Plymouth. So you're not expecting to be under the cosh and under pressure. I don't think there's going to be shots being peppered towards our goal. But having said that, Leyton Orient, they were able to get some shots at their ground, weren't they? So some from the bloody halfway line as well. So let's hope we don't see a repeat of that. What we're going to see at the back, I do think we're going to see Vita Hayes, which I'm excited about. I think he's due some minutes. Because he's in that back four, I don't think we'll see Kusanov, because he's there. And therefore, I think we need to put someone experienced next to him, which only bodes well for Kusanov, and that he's now become our Premier League centre-back, which means he's arguably our number one centre-back to play alongside Ruben Diaz, with Stones and Akanji being out. Yeah, well played Kusanov, mate. He's looking at an absolutely sensational signing, but I'll be surprised if he starts this game, because I think we need to have some experience alongside him in the way of Nathan Ake. I don't think we'll see Guardiola, because he needs a rest. But I was impressed by Nico O'Reilly at left-back against Leyton Orient. There was a couple of moments in the first 5 minutes. He cleared one off the line in the first 5 minutes against Leyton Orient. And he proved that he's got the physicality to do the job. He's mature enough to do the job. And he was able to get up and down that left side pretty well. So I would have no objections to seeing Nico O'Reilly in the back four for Manchester City. I know people are going to be pissed off when they see it, because he's not in everyone's Christmas lists right now, is he? Rico Lewis, which I think is harsh, but I do think Rico Lewis has more than enough ability to hold down that right backside, because the alternative is Kusanov, which I think is could do it. I think he could do it, but I think we should be resting him for Forest, or Nunes again. I think we could be resting him for Forest. And I think Rico Lewis does not deserve to be just thrown under a bus and forgotten about. I think he's got more than enough to play in this game. What we do with him with the ball is interesting as well. So now it gets into the area of the pitch where I think you need to have a nice blend of experience, quality, and don't get too aggressive with the changes. I do think we need to see a continuation of Nico Gonzalez. He was intended to play in the Leyton Orient game before he got an injury to the hip, didn't he? And he started him in that Leyton Orient game, which makes me think he's probably going to start him in this game as well, because he needs minutes, Nico Gonzalez. The more he plays for Pep Guardiola now, the quicker he will learn the system and learn the way of defensive midfield under Pep Guardiola and this Manchester City side. I think it's vitally important for Nico Gonzalez to get as much practice as possible before he cements down that position alongside Rodri potentially next season, which is fucking unbelievable to even think about. So exciting. Alongside him, though, I think we'll probably see Gundo alongside Nico Gonzalez. Again, Plymouth, don't forget who we're going up against. I know there's silverware up for grabs, but these players that I'm going to put in the starting 11 should be able to beat Plymouth. Kevin De Bruyne, who is arguably the best FA Cup player since he made his debut in January 2016 with 26 goal involvements to his name in the FA Cup, with 9 goals and 17 assists since he made his debut in the FA Cup. So he is Mr. FA Cup since he's been in the FA Cup himself. So I'd play him, even though he's not been playing well at all lately. I think he's going to play with determination. Surely there's a piece of silverware up for grabs, and we haven't got that many FA Cups. Having lost the final last season, that's got a sting. Kevin De Bruyne is someone who I think I would trust him for this game, even though I think he's declined massively in recent weeks. I still think he'll have enough in the tank to pull strings and do some damage to that Plymouth back line that have conceded 68 goals in the Championship this season. Phil Foden on the right for me, and I'm going to go with Jack Grealish on the left, and I'm going to go with Marmoush, who came off in the Spurs game. Haaland got the full 90 minutes, which suggested to me that he's probably going to get rested in this game. What we do with the ball is interesting, because you could see a situation where Grealish inverts and Nico O'Reilly comes forward down that left side, kind of like Guardiola does for City. But what that leaves at the back is a little bit concerning, because this is the problem. Right centre-back for Rico Lewis is a bit of a no-go. You could see situations like this where these guys get all central, and you'll probably see a lot of it throughout the game where both get forward and we just leave these two at the back, Nathan Ake and Vita Hayes, because I like to think we're going to dominate the football against Plymouth, and we'll probably see both of them coming forward as often as possible. Alternatively, I think there's a more suitable situation that's not as gung-ho, a little bit more pragmatic from Pep Guardiola, and would see Gundogan push forward, Gonzalez come across and let Rico go into midfield and create that box that we often see in midfield with Rico there. And Vita Hayes is someone who I can trust at right centre-back because he's a centre-back for a start. He's got the physicality to hold down that position. And Nico O'Reilly, left centre-back, we've seen him do it already this season. I think he could do that job. So there's two systems there that I think could definitely work for Manchester City, but I think it's a case of as long as you play enough quality in that starting 11 from Pep Guardiola, just get the job done before half-time effectively. No mistakes. Just get this job done, get us into the FA Cup quarterfinals, and then we can start rotating and bringing on any sort of youngsters you want to start thinking about and starting resting players for the Forest game, which is 7 days after this game, don't forget. So there's a big period of rest that Manchester City get after this FA Cup game. But get your predictions in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City.